what would you say right now to someone that this movie is going to do for them, whether they're a believer or not?
Yeah, I think for believers it's going to reaffirm their faith. I think it's going to energize their faith. I think they may walk away understanding better why they believe what they believe. And I think they're going to be motivated to invite their friends who are skeptics or who are spiritually confused to come back with them to see the movie a second time and then to have a conversation about it. I think for the non-believer who comes, we tested this movie with non-believers and they love the movie. They love the story, which really was gratifying just because on one level it's just an entertaining motion picture. But there's an underlying part to it with the evidence and so forth. And so my hope for them is they'll do what I did and check out the evidence. Christianity is unique among world religions because it invites investigation. It makes claims of history that can be checked out. And so I hope people are launched on their own investigations to come to the truth of who God is.
Now, after all these interviews, everyone just keeps on telling me, this is not, Jesus is in this, right? Yeah. This is really a love story.
It is.
Right?
On a couple levels. Yeah. For us, we were 14 on a street corner about half a mile from here. She was with a friend of mine. She went home and told her mom, I met the boy I'm going to marry. And
you knew like that?
Yeah. And so we got married. She was 19, I was 20. And so it is a love story there, but it's also a love story with God in us.
Absolutely.
And that God met Leslie where she needed to be met.
Right.
She didn't need all the evidence.
Right.
She had an experience where she met Jesus and knew it was true in her heart.
But you were a different story.
I was a different story. But you know what? God met me where I needed to be met. He gave me the evidence. He showed me the evidence that I found persuasive. Right. So I love that about God. It's a love story where he said, I love you so much because you're you and I made you that way. You can meet me in a way that will resonate with your personality and the way you look at the world. I think that should be encouraging to everybody.
Absolutely. Now, okay, so the other, the one thing that really strikes a lot of people, because, when I would bring this movie up, or just the book, to people that have never heard about it, the first thing I tell them is, this is really about the evidence, right? This is an investigation. It's really just as objective of a look as it can be. Now, you, talk to a lot of scholars and historians. At what point was your turning point? Which, was it a certain historian that just laid something out to you and you were like, whoa, light bulb?
It was like a cumulative case. It was like scales, and you're putting evidence on the scales. And it was slowly tipping, And then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on November the 8th of 1981, the scales tipped.
Okay.
And it's hard to identify that last bit of evidence, but I think among the most persuasive is the fact that I thought the resurrection was a legend. And it took time for legend to develop in the ancient world. But we have a report of the resurrection of Jesus, including named eyewitnesses and groups of eyewitnesses, including skeptics, that has been dated back to within months of the death of Jesus. That is so immediate, you can't just say it's a legend. That was a key bit of evidence. And the fact that we have 9 ancient sources inside and outside the New Testament confirming and corroborating the conviction of the disciples that they encountered the resurrected Jesus. That's a lot of historical data. So I was just kind of, the scales just boom.
Gotcha.
And I said, I have no choice. It would take more faith to maintain my atheism than to become a Christian.
Gotcha. So, you guys have how many kids?
Two kids. They're here, and our grandchildren. There's our grandchildren.
Our daughter's here with her.
That's my daughter. She's in the movie as a 5-year-old.
Okay.
And those are her kids.
Okay. Now, how does your faith impact your children?
They're both serving God. My daughter's a novelist. She has 6 novels that have been published that are fiction, but they all have the gospel woven into them.
Okay.
Our son is a scholar. He's a PhD in theology. He's a professor at Biola University in California. They're a seminary. He's written half a dozen books as well. He writes for the Harvard Theological Journal and other academic journals. And my granddaughter in the white sweater, who's 11 years old, just led a little kindergartner to faith in Jesus.
Oh, that's awesome. So
we're seeing the next generation pick up the mantle and take the baton and carry it on into the future.
That is awesome. Can I ask one more? I love you. I promise. Rapid fire question, because I have studied apologetics. I'm in seminary right now.
Oh, terrific.
Top 3 apologetics for any skeptics out there.
The books?
No, just any in general. Just some name drops.
Oh, some names. Some great apologists. William Lane Craig,
Yes.
who's portrayed in the movie.
Yes.
Ravi Zacharias,
Yes.
another great one. I think Tim Keller, he's
one
a
of my
pastor,
favorites.
but he's great.
Yes.
He's a terrific. I never
Yes.
met him. I love his stuff, though.
Yeah.
I recommend it to a lot of people. You know who's also terrific, in addition to Josh McDowell, his son Sean
Right.
McDowell is
Yeah.
a PhD. He's a professor with my son at Biola University.
Really?
They're professors together.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at
so
that.
he's a great. You know what? We are on the cusp of a golden era in Christian apologetics. We have so many great, and I'm a professor at Houston Baptist University. We have more women apologists at our university than any other university.
That's amazing.
And we need more women
Yeah.
in apologetics, and
Yeah.
we're getting them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you
man,
very
great
much.
to meet you,
Thank
sir.
Thank you. Oh,
God
thank you.
bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. I got a question from the people.
Okay, bring
Yeah.
it.
What are Mike's thoughts on matters of faith before this film, and what are they now, or have they changed at all?
No, they haven't changed. I mean, my faith has been a huge part of my life. I read this book when I was 17, and it was I think we all go through that point in time in life, right? When no matter what spiritual path we're walking down, where however you were raised, right, with the faith of your parents, you hit that point where that diverges and you have to make it your own. So for me, this book, I was always a huge student of history, so getting to read a book where I could say, wow, you can investigate that.
Right.
You can investigate that.
Yeah.
That's a fact right there that I can look up and sort of quantify against historical facts. So so for me, it was kind of just getting to come full circle and return the favor that he did for me many years ago.
Okay. Now, you play Lee in the movie.
Yeah.
Tell me about the whole interaction. Like, what pointers did he give to you? Was he like, hey, look, I smile this way? Or, like,
I'll tell you the hardest thing, man. Well, the beauty of modern day today is that you can pull up interviews on the internet.
Sure.
So I had 3 days from the time I signed on to when we started filming, and I'm just going. I'd seen interviews with Lee. He has that hard Chicago accent, and so I'm trying to master that and get those mannerisms, and so having the internet win was a huge help in getting this thing done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, and this is a little off, but what do you want to do moving forward? Are there any specific genres, or like, do you want to keep on doing faith-based genres, or do you want to expand to different things?
No, man. I mean, this is the first time I've stepped into this world, and I don't look at it as genres. I look at it as I want good film. I want a good message, if it's faith-based or not. It's why I've avoided these for a long time, because finding good story is what's important to me. Like I said, this had a personal impact on my life, so that certainly had a lot to do with it. But moving forward, I'm going to continue. I've been very fortunate in my career, I think, to bounce around from horror to drama to comedy to thrillers to this to TV to everything, and not stay in one place. Which is what I like, to just continue getting to play a variety of roles. I'm insanely ADD, so I don't want to get stuck in one place.
I hear you, man.
So,
hey, I appreciate
awesome,
it.
Manuel.
You're yelling
Great
at me, so I gotta go.
Awesome, sounds good.
This movie is a big deal. It's got to do with God. It's got to do with Jesus. Can you tell me what impact it has on your life, being in this movie? Yeah, I'm coming with the deep ones.
the deep, heavy-hitting question.
Yes.
Oh man, it's look, I'm never afraid to make a self-examination about my faith, about religion, about the spirit of religion and the spirit of faith. So that's the impact that it pretty much had on me. It took me way back, because I came up as a youngster. I was in the church until I was about 18 or 19 in a very serious way. Starved the church, and I'm an African-American Episcopalian, I'm Christian. I was at that point. Since then, my beliefs they've changed, because the world is a much bigger place than it was from my roots down in Newport News, Virginia. So, but it's good and refreshing to go back and revisit this in a concentrated kind of way. And I don't, it's not something that I feel that you necessarily try to change someone, to bring them into the fold. It's just offering information.
Right.
And then you take that information and you can go spiritually with it wherever you choose to go.
Yeah.
So that's what the association was to me with this film. And I wasn't, a lot of people would be intimidated, a little bit afraid to do a religious film because they feel that, they feel like it's them, that they're making a statement, but I don't feel like it's necessarily making a statement about me in totality. In some ways it is, because if I didn't believe in the right of Christians to express their faith and to explore their faith, then I couldn't be in this film. So I'm here.
Right.
And I love the story. And then let's not forget that there's a story involved in here too.
It's a love story, right?
It's a love story.
Yeah.
It's a love story. It's a love of family and friends and just that's important. So that's the thing that it's got to be character driven for me to be in it, but it's also got to be a good story, and those are the things that brought me here.
Now, can you talk about your character and the role that you had to play in this film?
And also the character that I play the editor-in-chief of the editor of the Chicago Tribune.
Okay.
So my stuff is, you see he's not in the fold one way or another. You don't know whether he's agnostic, whether he's Christian, whether he's devout, anything. He's just what he is.
Yeah.
Which kind of made it easier for me because I'm not in the fold preaching this or that. I'm just like dealing with the journalistic element. And that's what this film deals with as well.
Right.
Is it wants to find facts.
Right.
It's based on facts. And
Right.
he represents, don't come to me with this kind of philosophy or that kind of philosophy. Come to me with cold-hearted facts and then the evidence, and then we can have a conversation.
Awesome. Now, I'm gonna let you go. I'm so tempted to just call you Pops.
You can do that.
I appreciate you, sir. If you could just give our audience a forward, always forward.
Always forward.
Forward.
Always forward.
Appreciate you, sir. You play Lee's father, correct?
I play Lee's dad.
His dad. Tell me about what maybe advice or suggestions that Lee might have given you to help inspire the character.
Well, I met Lee after we had started filming, so I did not talk to him prior.
Okay.
But I recognize, as I recognize in my own life, that my father, who I never doubted, loved me. Yet when I went through his belongings when he died, I found every single thing I had ever given him as a child. I found every little dopey thing that I had given him, he saved. So this guy, when my career flagged, I had a career like this and like that. Never did he show doubt, my father. And so I wanted to be the father in spirit that Lee's father didn't seem to be. So I wanted to be the guy who, I wish my son could see how much I care for him. And I remember meeting Lee on the set, and when we were shooting a scene with his younger self, and he confided that he was sure his father didn't love him, and then discovered he did. And so in the scene reminiscent of that, he goes through his dad's belongings and finds his old clippings.
Was that your favorite scene in the movie, or was there a different scene that you just really that stuck with you?
I can tell you this. Mike Vogel is a movie star.
Yeah.
He carries this movie. He carries it strong. He's in every frame of this movie. And
I'm a fan of the God's Not Dead series, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Why is Case for Christ better? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
You know what? I probably because it's based on a true story. I mean, God's Not Dead was based on a bunch of court cases, but in reality, it was I don't know that it's. Listen, Case for Christ is an awesome movie. We're so proud of it. Lee Strobel has an unbelievable story, him and Leslie, and what they went through, and and to go out and disprove the gospel, to disprove who Jesus Christ was, coming from an atheist Chicago Tribune reporter. That's an interesting story, and just even that, I want to see that. Everybody has a different journey to their to faith and where they're going to God, and I think that this movie does it in such a beautiful, authentic way.
So I understand that you guys want to go and be globally, just everywhere. Talk to me about the impact that you really want to have on not just the faith-based community, but the non-religious community as well.
You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Well, about global, I think, when God's Not Dead hit, we never intended it to be the success that it was, and everybody thinks, oh, how did you have that overnight success? And in reality, you're an actor, producer, and you're in the business for decades. And so we've just been doing what we're doing, and God willing, keep being able to do what we do. So I think hopefully we do it with grace and dignity, and we can do it with humility. That's always our biggest prayer, is that we can do it and not be preachy, but do it with conviction and do it with love. And so, and hopefully that brings people to question their own relationship with our Creator. And so that's our hope. And we know what we believe. I was not a Christian half my life, and so it's something that brings great peace, and hopefully we can be a part of something awesome.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Tell me what this movie means to you and what your influences have been growing up.
So I grew up in a small southern town, and I was raised Christian, but I actually also made the decision by myself to be a Christian. So I consider myself a Christian. And so the fact that I am a part of a movie that is about Christianity is just amazing to me, and it's the best of both worlds, because I am an actor, obviously, and so I want to be a part of this industry, but it's hard to find projects that you really believe in and that have a Christian background. So the fact that I was cast in this production itself means the world to me. And the story, I have a lot of friends who, even though I am from southern town, I travel a lot, so I have friends in New York and LA and everywhere, and a lot of people ask me, what is the basis of Christianity? And they ask so many questions, and it's almost like they're playing devil's advocate with me, because it is hard to understand, and I totally get that. So a lot of times they ask, what are the facts? How can you prove this genuinely? And before I read the book and before I read the script, honestly, I didn't really know what to say to them, because it's a touchy subject. And so when you say it's based on faith, and that's hard to grasp for a lot of people. So the fact that this movie has the facts laid out for you, and the proof and the evidence right there, from not even just a random guy who set out to do it, but a Chicago Tribune journalist, someone who is specializing in that field of finding all the evidence and the facts, is just incredible. And it makes it even more tangible as an audience watches it. It's like this is something that I can see, whereas faith is something that can't really be seen, but you just feel. But evidence is right there in front of you. So it's hard to deny what this movie is about.
Okay. Now, you play the young Leslie.
Yes.
Did Mrs. Strobel give you any pointers?
So Leslie Strobel, I got to meet her one time, and she was so sweet. She said just to kind of go in with it with open eyes and just a giving heart, and so that's what I did. Because I am a Christian already, and because I have that background already in my life, I think it was almost more settling for both of us to go into it playing that, because I already was like that. But I really got a lot of pointers from Erika Christensen as playing Leslie, because we crossed paths one day on set, and I have a line in the movie where I say, I love you, Lee Strobel, you and only you, and that's a big line that is shown throughout the movie, not just in one spot. And so I knew that I wanted to say that line just as Erika said it, because we were the same person. Right. So that day, we actually, amazingly, miraculously, turned out that we were both filming those same scenes on that same day. So I got to watch her say the line. Oh, cool. I was on the mics in Video Village, what we call it. And so I was watching her on the monitor saying it and how she would say it and how, like, what her face was doing and everything. And it was so cool to me to be able to do that because I could replicate it for my own scene because we filmed mine right after that. So that was awesome. So it really is a true matchup of the teen Leslie versus the old Leslie. So yeah.
Well, thank you. I don't want to.
What steps did you take to really capture the personalities of Lee and Leslie Strobel on screen?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, once Lee put the cattle prod away, every time I messed up, it just got stunned.
Pavlovian.
Yes, that's right. The response, I mean, to be honest, it was a baptism by fire. I mean, literally, I had 3 days from the time I signed on to the time we started filming. So, I fortunately had read the book when I was 17. Had a huge impact on my life as I was moving into adulthood, and I was telling E-Man here that thank God for the internet, because it just pulling up interviews of Lee and trying to get a little bit of that Chicago accent going on was a rough one. So and then having them there on set was, there's this sort of this burden that comes of we gotta do right by them, because they're such a lovely couple and such a just such a fine example of love and marriage that you want to get the story right for them. So
I've heard you now twice mention the impact that it had on your life when you were 17. Tell us about that.
It was the point in my life where you're raised with the belief system of your parents, and you hit a certain point in life where you have to make it your own or go a separate way, and for me it was a reaffirming of my faith, and I was always a big history guy. I was big into apologetics and big into the controversial issues of Christianity and things like that. So having a book that I think so intelligently pointed out, these are actual historical facts that we can research and we can quantify and we can put under the lens and microscope of research. And seeing those things kind of pointed out for the first time, it made it tangible for me.
Erika, how did Mrs. Strobel advise you, or just maybe did she hover over you and be like, no, you have to scold Lee this way?
Lots of hovering.
Lots of hovering.
How did she
hovering,
hover?
scolding.
Yeah.
And really that's what I drew from her, is how to hover and scold. The qualities that she has that really stuck out to me are her strength. Oh, good. Real hydrated around here. Her strength and her integrity and her love, and those are things that I strive for personally, and so I went for those things. And then she's just they told us about their marriage before, during, and after these periods, and before, she would fight with Lee. She would fight back, and they would get into screaming matches and stuff, and I thought that was so interesting that she came from that sort of a passionate place, as a woman who's just not afraid to say what she thinks, and then honestly, there's something about her smile that just, I think, tells you who she is. And it just meant so much to me. Her smile is so infectious and so genuine, and I thought, okay, well, that's who she is. That's who this person is at her core. In all moments of passion, that's who she is in the underlying truth of her soul. So that's what I was shooting for.
And insanely supportive.
Yeah,
insanely
loyal and supportive, and through really tough times. She was pulling for him, praying for him. She was doing everything she can to fight for their marriage during a time where it could have gone really sideways.
Just real
Really
quick
cared.
follow-up. Was there anything that you personally connected with the character?
I think just the struggle to express yourself is something that so many of us can, as you grow and you learn what it is that you believe, but it's maybe something that you feel more than you can articulate, and coming to terms with all of that, I can definitely relate to all of that. And also just kind of the value of spirituality. She just knew, like, without saying to Lee, "You're going to be a better person," she knew he was. And she knew that she was.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, do you? I mean, obviously, you both starred in many roles before, and this is obviously a faith-based film. Do you plan on looking for opportunities to star in faith-based films in the future?
If they're excellent, the way that this one.
I see,
so from what I've heard, this one is. Yeah, the script for this was a real page turner, and just to be true to the art form that is my passion. It's really about telling great stories, and yeah.
No, you're right. That's like asking me. It's like, do you want to do any more comedies?
Yeah.
Sure, if they're great.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of telling great stories. I love the message that comes out of this film. I don't want to be a part of something that's just forcing a message out there. That's not. I do it to tell a wonderful story, and I think that's what we've done. And a story that has a fantastic message.
You said something earlier about just striving for excellence in making this film in every step of the way, and I think that in itself is such a worthwhile message.
Yeah.
It's just to strive to be the most competent we can in everything that we do, and so it's there are lots of good messages. So hopefully they align with good filmmaking.
I personally have seen the film twice now. I take a lot away from it. Do you?
Neither of us have actually seen the film yet.
We're sitting here with you fine people while
I've read the book.
That's when you said you hope it's a good film.
Yes, from what I've heard it is.
Yeah.
From what I've heard it is.
Okay. Seems a little odd.
I believe now you understand that. I think it is a great film. I trust that it is. Yeah.
The people that we trust the people that have disseminated certain information. So it's I'm looking forward to seeing it this weekend. I'm gonna take my kids to see it, and
How old are your kids?
10, 7, and 3. I'm gonna take my oldest. So. And some of it will be over their heads, but it'll be a fun experience.
You keep it on DVD for them.
That's right.
Yeah.